Okay, so we're at question 16 this time. So whenever you're going to be asked to solve a quadratic equation, for example, with a 2x squared plus 4x minus 9 equals 0, then you think, because it's x squared, quadratic means you need two answers. So we need to find two answers. If you look through one decimal place, that means using your formula sheets, you've got the quadratic formula there that is given with minus b plus and minus root b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Okay, so because you've got that, you should think, okay, I need to identify now what is a, what is b, what is c. Calculate b squared minus 4ac first. So that's usually a good way to start to gain the first marks. B is 4, so 4 squared is 16 minus 4 times 2 times negative 9. So a negative times a negative is a positive, and that should give you 88. That would give you your first mark. Okay, just writing down discriminant. Next, I'm going to have to write my two answers. The first one, negative 4, I'm going to use the plus, root 88 divided by 4. You just use your calculator, you type exactly that. You don't need to start. I'm going to try and see if I can make my second, third simpler. No, you just calculator, a number plus a square root divided by using the fractions. The way you see it is how exactly you're going to type it, and put the dot, dot, dot for your answers. Why have I put those dots? To get your final mark, you need to answer the question that is asked, and they've asked us to solve to one decimal place. So when I'm asked to give an answer to one decimal place, I'm going to make my judgment based on the second decimal place. If it's two decimal place, I look at my third decimal. So here the second is 4 and 4. So that means because it's less than 5, we just use 1.3 and negative 3.3. We don't need to increase that 3 by 1. Okay. And that would be your two answers. And again, here they've put like one decimal place. You don't have to, because they've asked us to give it to one decimal place. We don't have to. Whoever's going to mark you knows exactly what you've done. It's only if you're not asked to a certain number of decimal places that you decide, then you need to put to what number that you've decided, okay? Next, factorize. Again, you might think, oh, that might be a difficult one, but I'm going to use my foolproof method here. So you need to be able to factorize something with ax squared plus 7x minus 15. My foolproof method is what I've called all the time MAM. So if you can't remember, you need to take these two M. So those two, when you time them, you get A times B equal 2 times negative 15. And when you add them, you get 7. Okay, so that's your first step. So when you come to this, you try and find your two numbers. 10 and 3 and negative 3 this time, because remember it's positive 7. So 10 take away 3 will give me 7, whereas 10 times negative 3 will give me negative 30. So this is the bit where you need to start now juggling and replace the 7x with a 10x minus 3x minus 15. And then we're going to start now factorizing. Okay, so that's the only bit that you need some workout, is to change that 7x into a 10x minus 3x. And now you can say, okay, I've got 2x squared plus 10x. That is just 2x times x plus 5. And the negative 3x minus 15 is just negative 3x plus 5. And now you can say, oh, I've got x plus 5, which is a common factor. So x plus 5 times 2x minus 3 should be your final answer. Yeah. So that needs some practice though.
Mm-hmm.
That's the bit of time I see people not knowing what to do. And the good thing about the MAM, it would give you your answer no matter what way. If I had put like 2x squared minus 3x plus 10x minus 15, I would still get my answer. Okay, because I would get x times 2x minus 3 plus 5 times 2x minus 3. Okay. So it's factorizing. John paid something for his laptop. Oh, that was on sale. So that means the laptop originally cost more. So no matter whatever answer you're going to give back here, it should be an answer bigger than 297.5. So the discount in the sale was 15%, calculate the original price. So basically, he paid 85% of the original price to get a 15% off. So if 85% is 297.50, I can find what 1% is. 85 of something is this, 1 of this is just 297.5 divided by 85, which gives me £3.50. So 1% is £3.50. 100% is 100 times 1%. Yeah. So 100 times £3.50 would just be £350. And the good thing is, you could see that the original price is bigger than what John paid. Now, if you've got the time, you can say, okay, 350, can I quickly check this? Yeah, nothing stops you from checking it. What's 10%? 10% is divided by 10, 35. What's 5%?
Half of that.
Half of 35, yeah. Which is 17.5. So technically, he got a discount of 35 plus 17.5, which is 52.5. And if you take 350, you take away 52.5, you do get 297.50. So you can come out and know that if this was a 2 marker, you've nailed the 2 marks because you've quickly checked it. Okay. Again, if you get the extra time at the end. Now, this is a classic where you're asked to use Pythagoras inside a circle. We call it the pipe or the tunnel type question. So whenever you're going to see a pipe or a tunnel, think, I need to find a right angle triangle here. So LM is 1.2. From LTM, I've got 1.2. That means half of it is 0.6 here. Radius 1.8. The radius is from the center to the edge of your circle. That is 1.8.
So the smaller side.
Now what I need to find is this distance here, because to find the depth of milk, you just need to add that distance to another radius, because from the center to here, you still get the radius, right?
Yep, 1.8.
1.8. So if I can find this that we're going to call x, that's me, I'm done. So just doing this on the paper or on the side of your paper, a wee triangle, gives you the first mark. So if this 3 marks, you've already nailed 1 mark. So x is just square root of 1.8 square, which is the hypotenuse, take away 0.6. And that is 1.697 I've got here. I've just rounded it to 3 decimal place. Now that I've got x, I just need to add the radius to it, 3.497. Again, 3 decimal place, but the answer here is given with 3 decimal place, 3.497 meter. Okay, I think even if you don't put the meter, you will still get a full mark. On the marking instruction, they'll put like a wee
But you
parenthesis.
have to put it at 3 decimal places. That's just what you've done there. It's just because there's obviously like
But
1.8, 1.2. So
yeah,
I
so
would tend to do it myself as
yes.
3.5.
So if you were to write 3.5, then you could just put here equal 3.5 meter. But because you decide that you've rounded it, you just put 1 decimal place.
Okay.
So you add that, then that means whoever's going to mark you knows that you've rounded it to 1 decimal place, and you will still get a mark.
Okay.
Okay, because they've not told us.
Yeah.
But yeah, technically it would say give your answer with 2 significant figures, or give your answer to 1 decimal place.
Okay.
Okay. But again, if you were to give it to 2 decimal places, you need to put 3.50 though. If you were to say, I've rounded it to 2 decimal place. Says. Okay. So find the roots. That's again equation. I'm going to use a method that works all the time for me, which is MAM. So 2 numbers, if I time them together, I get -15. And if I add them, I get -2.
-5.
5 and 3, yeah?
5 and 3.
So now I need to decide which one is negative, which one is positive. Because I've got -2, the bigger of the 2 is going to be my negative number. And now you can write this as x minus 5 times x plus 3. And to find the roots, you need to say x minus 5 equals 0. And x plus 3 equals 0, or x equal 5, because you add 5 on both sides, and x equal -3. You take away 3 on both sides. So that would be like, how many marks? 1, 2, 3 marks. Yeah, that would be 3 marks. Okay. Any difficulties with this one? Should be okay.
Right.
The next one is to do with vectoring. Oh, it's not even to do with vectors. And I'm going to tell you what it's not to do with vectors. This is 3D Pythagoras. Yeah? So find the shortest distance between D and C. So you go from 1, vertex to another. So between these two vertices, basically they ask us to find that distance here. And 3D Pythagoras tells us that you just do square root of the x side square plus the y side square plus the z side square. It's the same when we had this prelim question where you had an umbrella within a box. So once you've got your x, your y, and your z, so x, y, z, 5, 3, and 1, it's just 5 square plus 3 square plus 1 square, which is 25 plus 10, which is square root of 35. So that must have been a non-calculator question, and you can just leave your answer as a third. Okay. Another straight line, but this time they've told us the line is parallel to another line. So the good thing is whenever you hear that word parallel, that means they've got the same gradient. So M basically is 3 for my line. So I've got M and I've got a point. So you could use the y minus b equal mx minus a and decide this is going to be a, this is going to be b. That's one way of doing this with m equals 3. So y minus 5. So the thing is, what we see as mistakes given is what you should do is once you get a point, you need to write underneath a and b. And that way, you've got less chance to make a mistake. It's so easy to see people doing y minus 2 equals 3x minus 5. So whenever you're going to have 2 points, you want to use my1 minus y2, just write under those points x1, y1, x2, y2. And if you want to use the b and a, again, put an a, put a b. That means you've got less chance to make a mistake. So y plus 5 equals 3x minus 6. I'm going to give it as a y equal mx plus c, take away 5 both sides, and that's you've got your final answer. And those two lines are parallel. And you can quickly check that the points work because 3 times 2 is 6, 6 minus 11 is 5. Sorry, it's negative 5. So negative 5 equal negative 5. So I'm coming out of this work and I know that my answer is correct. Okay. Next question, indices using fractions. Okay, so we've got to manipulate those fractions. But the rule of indices tells us that x to the power of something times x to the power of something else is just x to the power of that something plus that something else. So I've got a half plus a quarter. Okay. So if you don't want to think too much about what is a half plus a quarter, you can just take yourself a half of a pizza, add another half of a pizza, and then you've got here how many quarters? 1, 2, 3 quarters. So a half plus a quarter should be 3 quarters without doing any math. Yeah. Or you can decide I'm going to use kiss and smile. 4 times 1, 4 plus 2 divided by 4 times 2, so 6 over 8. And then you need to remember to half the top and half the bottom. It's another way of doing it. Or people would say half is the same as 2 quarters. So 2 quarters plus a quarter is 3 quarters. More than one way of doing this. But the next one is just 3 times x to the power of half. So x to the power 3/4 plus 3 times x to the power of a half. So just leave it like that. You don't need to write this is square root of x. No, I've asked you to give it, simplify it, keep indices. You don't have to get rid of those fractions at the end. Okay. Next one. Same again. I've got to get rid of those fractions. So we had a very similar question to this one earlier on. The only thing you need to watch for is -3 times x, -3 times -7. That would give us x minus 3x plus 21 equal 9. That's -2x plus 21 equal 9. So what I'm going to do this time, I'm going to add 2x both sides and take away 9 both sides, which give me positive numbers all the way. 12 equal 2x. You divide by 2, then your final answer should be x equals 6. Yeah?
Yep.
So now that I've got x equals 6, it should take me 5 seconds to check this answer, yeah?
Yep.
6 minus 7.
-1.
-1 times -3.
3.
Plus 3. So what's 6 plus 3?
Oh, sorry, 9.
9. And then 9 equal 9.
Mhm.
I'm coming out of this question. This is 3 marks, and I know I've got my 3 marks because I took the time to go back and check it.
You could have come out with a negative answer if you brought the 21 across and you got -2x, -12 was equal to -12, and then just done -12 over 2.
Over
or
-2.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then you still get 6. That's probably how I did on it, but
yeah,
still,
you could.
still the same
You could.
answer, still the same value for x.
Yeah. So in this case here, because I didn't want to mess about with negative, I just said, you know what? You get more people making a mistake manipulating negative numbers than you do the ones that just make everything positive. Then that's why I went that way. Especially when you're going to have inequations like greater than or less than. Try and help yourself by going through to the positive side for x. And that way you don't have to think about switching the sign. Okay. Sketching. Okay, so cos 2x, that means I'm going to have twice cos x within 360. So I've got a 180 period. So once you can write that down, as long as you remember that cos x start at the top at 1. And after that, to get your second mark, you need to make sure that you put here your 4 at the top and -4 at the bottom. And that's you. That would be 2 marks. Put the correct period and put the correct amplitude on your diagram. And you could finish it off by, I don't think it's needed, but I would just, so this is y and this is my x, yeah. Just in case you get a very pedantic marker, but usually they'll tell the marker that that is enough, but I like to put this is my y-axis, this is my x-axis. Okay. And again, they've told us sketch it from 0 to 360. If they had asked us to sketch it from 0 to 180, you would just stop at 180 here.
Between 0 and 360.
Okay. Next. So find the volume. So whenever you're going to see that, find the volume of a sphere, you take your formula-less formula sheets, write down volume of a sphere, 4/3 pi r cube. If this is a this is a calculator question, use your calculator, use the pi button on it. Write down, I think if you write this down first, you get your first mark. Just writing this. Radius is 9, I'm going to put the 9 cube. Then you put that answer to 2 significant figures. So I'm looking at this, 2 significant figures. What is my third significant figures?
5.
It's a 5. That means that 0 is going to have to increase by 1. Okay. So that probably was the most difficult part of this question, is to know how to round to 2 significant figures. Okay. And because we deal with meter, a volume is meter cube. And again, that makes sense because pi doesn't have a unit. 4/3, no units. The only units here is meter, time meter, which is the r cube here. And that's why it's meter cube, okay? So you kind of know that you've used the right formula. Next, we're asked to remove brackets and simplify. So I'm going to just do 2x plus 2 times 2x plus 2, because that's what 2x plus 2 square is. You might think, oh, have I got a difference of 2 squared? No. Remove the brackets. How do we remove the brackets? The next one, we do -2 times x squared, -2 times -2. So for the moment, I've just done what's written there. 2x times 2x, that's 4x squared. 2x times 2 is 4x. 2 times 2x is 4x, and then plus 4. Now I'm going to group the like to simplify. Okay, so 4x, that's 8x. 4x squared minus 2x squared, that's 2x squared. And plus 4, 8. Yeah, that shouldn't have much difficulties. The only thing here is to make sure that you remember that you've got 2x times 2x and 2x times 2, and then the 2 times 2x and the 2 times +2. Those are my 4 elements here, yeah? And obviously for the first one, -2 times x squared and -2 times -2. You'd be surprised, we do get people missing on marks here because they forgot to do the -2, for example. So that would be a 2 marker, but if you miss that one, you can still get a second mark by simplifying correctly based on your mistakes. Okay, this time I've got something that depreciates. So the multiplying factor has got to be less than 1. When something is multiplied by a number less than 1, the number will go down, right? If you multiply by a number bigger than 1, the number will go up. So depreciation, you've got to time by 1 minus something. So how do you write this? You just come and say, I've got 20,000 times 1 minus 5.5%. Mistake is people forget to put the 100 or they put a percent here. So just 5.5% just means 5.5 over 100. And obviously because it's over 7 years, you put to the power 7, and then you write with how many, or at least 3 decimals, because it's money. So we're gonna have to round to 2 decimal place any money that you're asked to do, okay? If they don't tell you to the closest pound, if it's just money, you round it to 2 decimal place. And here, because the third one is 5, that means the 3 goes to 4. Okay. Any question on that one? We had something that went up, we had to add, going down. Make sure that you can type this in your calculator and you get an answer, yeah?
Yeah.
So, the next question, I've been asked to find the length of one of the part of the triangle. I've got 2 sides and the angle in between, so I'm going to use the cosine rule. So whenever you're going to see 2 sides and the angle, cosine rule. If that's not the case, you're going to have to use sine rule. Okay. But imagine if they had given me 2 sides and 2 angles. You can still find the third angle because you know that all angle in a triangle add up to 180. So you would still get 2 sides and an angle to find the last angle, the last side, okay? So there might be an extra line, yeah. Remember, I always says 2 sides and the angle that is between the 2 sides, but they might try to get you an extra mark by remembering that all angles in a triangle add up to 180.
Yeah.
Okay. So you just plug everything in. B, C, so you decide which one is B, which one is C. So what we had to do here to get A square, B square, we can change this. Remember the ABC, the way they wrote it there, we can just decide this is going to be A. So B is 1.2, so that means this is B, small b here.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is going to be C.
AB.
And then small c. And what I'm looking for is A here, which is the side, the length AB. Plug that into your calculator. You get AB square equal 0.6088. But remember, you've got ans, so you do square root of answer, ANS. That means you don't need to type all this. And what I'm gonna here, I can see here I've got 2 decimal places for the best one. So you can give your answer to 2 decimal places.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would put here to 2 decimal place because that's the choice made here. Okay, so remember these questions are just taken, made it smaller as a question, but in a proper paper they would say. Okay. So things we need to know when it comes to proving.
Sine.
So a couple of things is trig identities. So sometime when I get a question like this, the first thing I do for my trig identity, I just put them on the side. I just write sine square x plus cos square x
Equal to 1. Just a 1.
equal 1, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the one that you need here. The other trig identity that you need to know by heart is the tan x, but we don't need that one. Equals sine x over cos x. So we don't need that one. Not needed here. Because of this, I can put sine x as my common factor here. I can factorize the left-hand side. So if you were to factorize the left-hand side, you would get sine x times sine square x plus cos square x, which is 1. Sine x times 1 is just sine x. So my left-hand side equal my right-hand side. You've just proven that. So that would be 2 marks maybe. Yeah, because you factorize and you remember that. So that would be 2 marks. as long as you remember your trig identity. Okay.
Yeah.
So this question here is without a calculator. So if I get a question like this, I think, what am I going to do here? Let's say you don't like decimals. You can replace 5 as a 10 divided by 2, yeah?
Mm.
Why not? Nothing stop me from doing that. So because it's 10 divided by 2, you can time it by 10, which gives you 32, divide by 2, 16. 16 plus 2.1.
18.1.
Yeah, so you get your first part here, 18.1, to give you your first mark. Divide by 8. And then you might think, now I'm a bit stuck. What do I need to do? So 18.1, you can rewrite it as 9.05 over 4. Yeah, nothing stops us from doing that. Or you can decide, I remember doing this at school, so why don't we just go 18.1 divided by 8? So you're allowed to do that as well.
10. Yeah.
How many 8 can I get into 1? So
2.
that'd be 0. And then you'd say 1, 18, that's 2.
2 carry 2.
Yeah, so that'd be 2, carry 2. So you've got 21. So you need to put the point here. 2.
2 again, yeah.
So you could go through all that, or you can just say, what is 4.525? 4 divided by 2 is 2. 500 divided by 2, 250. 25 divided by 2 is 10. 5 divided by 2, 2.5. Is that not easier?
Yeah.
262.5. 2625.
262.5.
265, yeah.
So you've got the 2 first, 2 point, because it's a 2 point, 2625. Because all these become just point, right?
Oh yeah.
And then your answer would just be 2.2625. And you don't have to do all this 21, 2, or I need to put a 0 here, and so on and so forth. Because this is where people would start to make mistake, forgetting to put the 0, because you need to just keep doing that. You will get it.
I prefer doing that, I must admit. It reminds me of school days.
Yeah.
So much easier.
Okay. But if you can half a number,
Yeah, I just
you just half and half. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Now for the next question, if we're asked, does a point lie on a line? Just means I've got X for that point here and Y for that point here. And if it lies on the line, when Y equals 4, is X equal -2. So you need to check that. You substitute X and Y into 3X plus 10 with a 4 in front of it. So -6 plus 10, which is a 4. Then you can say, yeah, yes, explain your answer. Yes, you just put, yes, the point lies on the line. That's be enough because 4 equals 4. Whereas if we had, instead of a 4 here, for example, something different like 5, you would say, no, 5 different than 4. The point doesn't lie on the line. Okay. So Simplification. Now, this is you looking at the bigger picture here. In order to simplify, I know that root 10, I can't simplify it. Okay, so this is telling me where my answer is going to be. I need to change that root 40 into something times 10. So 4 times 10. 90, I need to change it into something times 10. 9 times 10. So without knowing that this is, I need to get the 4 out or the 9 out, the question was pointing me towards to what I need to do. And that's how you should look at these kind of questions. So I've got 2 root 10 plus 4 root 10 plus 3 root 10. And how many root 10 have I got here?
8.
4 plus 3.
Oh, right, sorry. 4, 5, 6, 8, 9.
9 root 10, yeah. So I've got 9 of them. You just write 9 root 10. Okay.
Yep.
Penultimate question, simplify, get rid of the brackets. So you would just do x times 3x, x times negative 2, then negative 5 times 3x, negative 5 times negative 2, which give us 3x squared minus 2x minus 15x plus 10, because it's a negative times a negative, and the negative 17x. And now for the last question, I need to do some work between 0 and 360, and I've got half a period and it's a sine. So the sine start at 0. I'm going to only put half the period. Okay, that means I've got s from 0 to 360. You could have added your x here if you wanted to as your line.
And your y at the top.
And then because I've got y here, my amplitude is 3. You need to show that on your sketch. I've got plus 3 at the top for my top point here. That would be where plus 3 would be. And then if you had the other part, you would get the negative 3. But I think if you just put the plus 3, that should be enough.
Okay.
Because you've been asked to sketch it between 0 and 360. Okay, but putting it as well doesn't make you lose a mark. Okay, so that's us. We've been through 35. They're good questions. I would say probably out of the 35, there was a good 5 or 6 that needed a bit of thinking. But hopefully now that you've done quite a few, you will see some are quite repetitive. But what you should be getting is at the end of this exercise, you should be putting everything away and pick the one that was the hardest and say, okay, what do I need to do to get this right? And if I was to forget what I needed to do, are there other things, other skills that I have in order to pull that back in? Okay, and that's the way you should be looking into junior revisions. Don't spend too much time on everything that you know how to do. It's more to work on the hardest ones.
Okay.
All right.
So just keep working through them.
Yeah, just
Next
keep.
week as well.
You'll find out some of them. You may say, "Oh, maybe I've done this one already," but they've just changed some numbers. It's just to see.
Yeah, there's a
if
couple
you
of
can-
similar ones anyway.
Yeah.
I'll look at.
And if you're stuck, you click on the link, get back through 2 or 3 examples, and by practicing them, you'll be able to remember. I think it's a good way of practicing by looking at guides.
Definitely.
Okay,
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thanks.
much.
no
Thanks, Adrian,
worries.
for-
And that should be us for today. I just need to stop recording.